Hello, hello.
Hello there.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good.
You're up early? Early, early?
Sort of. I haven't been to bed yet.
Oh my. Oh dear. Well, on these, do you have to actually be on and start each one?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. So, well, I have some prepared remarks too, and talk a little about um, the Hope Collection and optimize my life, optimize your life, optimize everyone's life. And I'm also have some trivia facts about inauguration. So I know that you're going to be doing a lot on Martin Luther King Jr. on Monday and touching also on the inauguration. But I just found some fun trivia facts about past inaugurations. So I thought that would be fun to dive into.
Well, like I was talking to some guys networking yesterday, and having a hard time remembering the last time inauguration actually fell on Martin Luther King Day.
It has happened a couple times. I have that in my notes somewhere here. Um, I can't find it offhand because I have a whole bunch of fun information. But it has happened, and it will happen again because I remember seeing it in my notes. So, um, anyways, but we'll get to that because um, but I didn't know if I should wait until 9 a.m. to start.
It's up to you, or I can do this.
Okay. Why don't you do what you're going to do, and then I will take over at 9 with um my pre- my remarks.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It is Saturday morning, and it is weekend review with Linda Claydon. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Wonderful. Wonderful. It's a nice sunny, bright, cool, clear morning here in Western New York. Um, It's funny when people talk about New York, they just always assume we're in New York City, and we're not. We're 8 hours away, the other side of other side of New York State, up near Niagara Falls. We always say that because people kind of sometimes think they know where Niagara Falls is, but not New York City. So, but I want to welcome
Whenever you
everyone.
say
This
that,
is
it
Go ahead.
always reminds me of the old salsa commercial.
Oh,
Not New
oh,
York
New York
City.
City. Yes, peace, peace, salsa, New York City. Well, it's funny. We had somebody coming to a meeting that we were hosting years ago, and they said, "Well, do we fly into Newark or LaGuardia?" And I said, "Either one is an 8 hour drive either way. You know, it's like Buffalo is the second largest city in New York State. Obviously, it's, a quarter of the size of New York City, but um it's really fun. When I had our phone, Ron's phone, my husband's phone died, just got hung up in some mode, and we had to take it in to get it repaired. And they said, "Oh, there's a place you can take it in Astoria." It's like New York State, not New York City. We're not, but it is funny. We're closer actually to Toronto, Canada, than we are to New York City. But but the the this is the week in review, as we've always called it, and we're this is the part of the Optimize Your Life show, brought to you by the Hope Collection. And this is the first week in review call on this new Podbean platform. So we're really excited about that. We're excited about the this new platform that we can reach so many people. And the Hope Collection was founded by Dr. Joel Griffin, over 10 years ago. And it's a 501c3 nonprofit foundation, um, dedicated to benefiting veterans, first responders, and their extended families and caregivers. And the Optimize My Life show, um, just, is a way, is our outreach. We're kind of like an umbrella, if you were, that we have. We're connectors. We can connect, veteran education opportunities, certification, income opportunities, coaching and mentoring. Um, we have Monday through Friday. We have a lot more. There's going to be a bunch of different shows on this platform. Ones I'm going to highlight is from noon to 1 U.S. Eastern Time, um, daily. There's a show. Monday is Hometown Heroes, and our own Mary Stanley will be talking. We'll be heading that up this coming Monday, and it's also Martin Luther King Jr. Day, as well as Inauguration Day here in the States. Tuesday is Travel Tuesday with my husband, who is right now the president of the Hope Collection, and Rick Reese, talking about the benefits of travel and the business behind travel. Wednesday, I host Beth Wyman, who is a registered dietitian. She is so knowledgeable, and she has such a fun show, full of knowledge and full of information, but talking about healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle. Thursday is Family Day. We have variety of topics on that day. And Friday, we get to host, it's our pleasure to host Captain Len Kane, um, who is the founder of the Golden Rule Society, kind of our sister charity. And he is the original Top Gun. I know around the world people have seen Tom Cruise movies about Top Gun, but Captain Kane is the real deal. And he founded the Golden Rule Society, over 50 years ago. I think it's like 52 to be exact. And he himself, because of the work he's done with the Golden Rule Society, has been nominated 5 times for a Nobel Peace Prize, which is really exciting. But he has a lot of information to talk about also. And then I just have this follow-up show, the week in review, and we talk about, different things going on that maybe have happened in the past week and in the future, looking forward to the following or the week to come. So, but I wanted to talk a little, since it is our premiere show here, about the Hope Collection. And our theme, I love it. Our theme is helping others by helping them help others. And it really is a pay it forward. And the Hope Collection is able to um, connect everyone that is looking for, if you're looking for housing, we may be able to help you with um, locating a organization or a charity that could help you with veterans affairs, with money matters. We have connected with Cambridge Financial, who can really help people get out of credit card debt. Credit card debt right now is at a high, all-time high, and one of the reasons is the interest rates you could be paying, even above minimum, and your credit card, and the interest you'd be paying just interest and not even the balance of what you owe. And so it would just go on and on. Cambridge can help you with that. Um, the but we have also worked with United Way, and we've worked with all different organizations that could just um, give you something. If you're looking for something in particular, we have certification classes. And I know Rick Reese, he also on the board, and his daughter took advantage of one of the certification classes. And when she went for a new job position, it just added to her resume, and she ended up getting quite, a wonderful job, because on top of everything she's done, she had some special certification. So that's really cool. And we have connections with certifications like that. Um, Mary, did you want to add anything about um, what the Hope Collection does? Right now, we're working on our website, and we'll have that up and running within the year. But the Hope Collection itself was founded by Dr. Joel Griffin, and he was an educator. He's also been, was the was a let's see, how can I put it? He had worked for he was a statistician, mathematical genius, and he worked with both of the Bush administrations as well as the Reagan administration, especially during Y2K, when we went from 1999 to the year 2000. People were anticipating that there would be a lot of computer problems and infrastructure problems. And he actually worked alongside a lot of great thinkers, and handled that. But he was also a statistician, so he worked alongside looking at different bills and spending proposals, and but it's really neat. But he is the one that founded the Hope Collection. Hope is was his mother's name, and she was a renowned artist. And so he had founded the Hope Collection, oh gosh, over 10 years ago, and he has passed away a couple years ago. And my husband, Ron Claydon, was asked to become the president of the organization again, which he's currently serving as. But that's just a little um, backstory on the Hope Collection itself, where that brings you this podcast.
Couple things I'd like to add is that I always call the Hope Collection like the Yellow Pages or the Directory of Services.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yep.
outreach where we link you to sources that you need. And we are also on the cutting edge of sources for neurodiversity.
Yes. Very important.
And we are not just local, we are international.
It's neat too when even just on something as simple as the noon to one Eastern time shows, you know, Mary, you're in Minnesota. Um, we're here in Buffalo, New York. Rick is in Charleston, South Carolina. Beth Wyman on Wednesday is in the Albany, New York area, the other side of the state. Thursday, a lot of times, is Bob Oakley, and he's in New Jersey. And then Captain Len Kane, is in Coronado, California. So, I mean, even that one noon show, is from people all over the country. Um, and I know on, the other shows that you were very involved in is also just people from all over, as you said, all over the world.
And the nice thing is with this platform, it makes it easier to bring guests in from all over the world.
Yes. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to, um, with Podbean and having just just that outreach that's just going to be so exciting, because the more that we hear from other people, the more we learn. We can share ideas and information and learn about each other, and in a way that if you only listen to your small group of friends, you never really grow. There's A podcast is so important because you're getting more information and ideas, and so that's really really neat. Um, I have just I found some fun trivia, as it were, some information, I should say, more than trivia, about US inaugurations. And it's really neat because we do have what they the peaceful transition of power. Every 4 years we have a major election, um, and can just really completely change the course and direction of a country. And it's not just in US, it's not just um, a democratic um, election. It's not majority rule because in states like California or New York, where there's so much population, if it was just straight popular vote, um, people in smaller states or less populous states would not have the same amount of say. And so it's really is a so we have a two prong. We have the popular vote, which President Donald Trump did win, but we also have a oh, what is the word? Help me out here. Um,
Electoral?
yes, and so in that way, it's balanced. And actually, so President Trump actually has both the popular vote and the electoral college vote. Um, and if you don't
He
mind, I'm just
won.
going to go through some of this interesting facts. In fact, a couple of the questions, Mary, that you had raised is in this information. So Donald Trump will take the oath of office at noon on Monday in the west front of the U.S. Capitol. When he does so, he'll become just the second president after Grover Cleveland to serve two non consecutive terms as president. Now, the security in Washington on Inauguration Day is going to be tight. Much of downtown will be closed to vehicles, and more than 11,000 police and National Guard troops will be deployed around the city to keep order. They're going to be a Inauguration Day parade, and it was
Did
4 years
that
ago.
stuff
It
get
was
canceled?
no, the parade is still going to go on. It's just that would be after the inauguration. um, excuse me, is going to be inside the Capitol because of how cold it is. Oh, there goes my voice. Um, Hold on just a moment. Excuse me. So as we get, excuse me, as we get set to mark one of the hallmarks of U.S. democracy, the peaceful transition of power, here's a few lesser known facts about presidential inaugurations. Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th U.S. president, but he'll be only the 40th person to give an inaugural address. John Taylor, um, Millard Fillmore, Andrew Johnson, Chester Arthur, and Gerald Ford were all vice presidents who ascended to their own, so they never gave an inaugural address. I thought that was interesting. Um, Grover Cleveland held two
Cleveland.
consecutive terms as president, and as a result, he is counted as the 22nd and 24th president. Trump will be the 45th and 47th president for the same reason. Now, it's funny, the 20th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is very specific about the date in which power transfers from one president to the other. In fact, it even dictates the transition down to the minute. According to the amendment, the president elect officially becomes the sitting president at the stroke of noon on January 20th. This is true regardless of if the president has taken the oath of office or not. And all but two elected presidents took the oath of office in Washington, D.C. Washington did not become the nation's capital until 1800, just before Thomas Jefferson was sworn in as a third president. George Washington took the oath of office for his first term in 1789 in Federal Hall in New York City, at which time, at, at the time, was the capital of the United States. The capital moved to Philadelphia the next year, so Washington was sworn into office for his second term in 1793 in the Senate Chamber of Congress Hall. Now, John Adams was sworn in as president in 1797 in the House Chamber of Congress Hall in Philadelphia. And every elected president since has taken the oath of office in Washington. Although there I'll tell you about the four that took it outside of Washington and for the reasons. Teddy Roosevelt was assumed the role of president following the assassination of William McKinley. He was sworn in at the private home of Ansley Wilcox in Buffalo, New York. And there's a wonderful, wonderful museum. It is it's so it's it's just a really neat museum about the about uh, both McKinley and Teddy Roosevelt. And then, following the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson took the oath of office on November 22nd, 1963, while flying aboard Air Force One. The oath was administered by Judge Sarah Hughes, who became the first woman to inaugurate a president. It's neat. because the presidential oath of office is written into the U.S. Constitution. Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution stipulates before he enters the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Um, let's see. There's a whole bunch of other.
You know what's
Um,
kind of interesting? When you swear into the military,
mhm.
it's very similar to the oath of office.
Yes, I noticed that. I noticed that the preserve and protect. Yes, um, that is really cool. Um,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Good morning. This is Ron.
Yeah,
I want to know, do all the officers, like people that got elected to be like a House of Representative or a senator, or do they all have to retake the oath of office every year?
I don't know. I would. I
I
don't.
think they have to retake the oath. I'll look it up when they're reelected.
Yeah, that
That's
could.
right. Yes. Yeah. Usually they do that on most of the time they do that on January 1st.
Um, well, it's interesting because talking about presidents, more presidents have been inaugurated in March than in January. 37 inaugurations have been held in March. Trump's inauguration, um, 23 will have been in January. Until 1937, presidents were inaugurated on March 4th. Um, or March 5th if March 4th fell on a Sunday. The 20th Amendment moved Inauguration Day to January 20th. Um, let's see, FDR's second inauguration was the first to be held on January 20th. The only elected president not to be inaugurated on either January or March was George Washington. Um, he was inaugurated April 30th, 1789. John Kennedy was the last president to wear a top hat to his inauguration. Wearing top hats to the inauguration ceremony used to be tradition. Presidents from Franklin Pierce through Harry Truman donned them. Dwight Eisenhower broke the trend by opting for a less formal hat. Um, so after JFK, no president since has donned a top hat on inauguration day, and Trump isn't likely to break that streak. Um, Lyndon Johnson was the first president to ask his wife to hold the Bible while he took the oath of office. Before LBJ, the executive secretary of the Congregation, the Joint Congressional Inauguration Committee traditionally held the Bible while the president swore his oath. Johnson asked his wife, Lady Bird Johnson, to do it, and every president since has followed suit. Melania Trump is expected to hold the Bible when Trump is sworn in, as she did 8 years ago. Um, Now here's some firsts. The inauguration of James Buchanan on March 4th, 1857 is the first one known to have been photographed. Other technological firsts for president inaugurations include the first to be filmed, William McKinley in 1897, the first to use loudspeakers, Warren Harding in 1921, the first broadcast on radio was Calvin Coolidge in 1925. The first broadcast on television was Harry Truman in 1949. The first broadcast in color was John F. Kennedy in 1961. And the first delivered over the internet was Bill Clinton in 1997. Now, we were talking about weather earlier. The coldest inauguration day was Ronald Reagan second inauguration. The temperature at noontime in Washington on January 21st, 1985 was 7 degrees. or 62 degrees colder than on the day of Reagan's first inauguration. Um, it was so cold that Reagan took the oath of office indoors at the U.S. Capitol. And again, Trump's second inauguration will be warmer than Reagan's, but will not be warm. It's going to be on Monday, probably sunny and windy with a high in the mid 20s. Um, so that is why they decided to have the ceremony um, inside in the Capitol, because he just said, not to you know, elderly people and even young people, standing that long outside is not good. Um, Although Ronald Reagan holds the record for the coldest ever inauguration day, Ulysses S. Grant ceremony, which took place on March 4th, 1873, came in second. High winds and a temperature of 16 degrees led to the food and all the champagne for the reception freezing. So did hundreds of caged canaries, which had been brought in for the festivities. Here's the answer to your question, Mary. This year's inauguration will be just the second to fall on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Congress in 83 decreed that the third Monday in January would be a federal holiday to honor civil rights leader Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Over the intervening 4 decades, Inauguration Day and Martin Luther King Jr. Day have coincided just once. That was in 97 when Bill Clinton was inaugurated for his second term. Now, Inauguration Day will next fall on Martin Luther King Jr. Day on January 20th, 2053. So well, let's see what we can. The shortest inaugural the shortest inaugural address was a lot shorter than this me talking about this. George Washington's second inaugural address just ran 135 words, or about the length of two recitations of the Lord's Prayer. But then on March 4th, 1841, William Henry Harrison set the record for the longest ever speech when he spent nearly 2 hours delivering an 8,445 word inaugural address. It was a lot of talk for a short lived presidency. Harrison died 1 month later. Um, and they, one of the, it was a chilly March day in Washington, and the president stood outside without hat, gloves, or coat. Later, he was out walking and got caught in a downpour. Soon, he came down with a cold that turned into pneumonia. Um, however, recent analysis by medical experts has cast doubt on this popular version of Harrison's death, with many commenters questioning whether a cold contracted in March could lead to a death a full month later. Research suggests that Harrison may have acquired typhoid fever from drinking Washington's tainted water supply, which ultimately led to his death in April. So, so when you think of the dangers of becoming president, bad weather and bad water could could also be contributing factors. But I thought some of those trivia about inauguration was quite interesting.
Here's a cool fun fact, and then I'll get to Ron's question. The Constitution does not say what swearing in must include. So most presidents choose a Bible, as George Washington did, but Quincy Adams used the Book of Law, and Teddy Roosevelt didn't use any book.
Right, right. Um, when Roosevelt was inaugurated here, sworn in here in Buffalo, he just raised his hand, um, and avowed that way. And I thought it was interesting because I've always seen the first lady holding the Bible for their husbands, but that again wasn't always the way. And so, much like wearing the top hats, things, you know, it, it's things like that are not written in stone. Although I thought it was funny about exactly at noon, is when um, the power, the changeover of power, even if they don't get all the swearing in exactly at noon, the change of power does take place.
So, Ron, in answer to your
Your
question,
question.
at the start of each new Congress in January of every odd numbered year, the
Oh,
entire House of Representatives and one-third of the Senate takes the oath of office. For members of the House, the Speaker will direct the members to rise and the oath is administered. Senator elect takes the oath of office from presiding officer in the open of the session of the Senate.
uh-huh.
I think it's interesting. The infamous January 6th cabal that did not, well, whatever they call it, happened. Um, the change of the guard when President Biden came to office was automatic, so it didn't matter whatever they claimed that President Trump did. Didn't matter. The automatic, it's already in place that President Biden became the president. So that whole thing was just a sham of
Mm-hmm.
them trying to arrest President Trump and put him in jail so he couldn't run again. And that just is another confirmation of me. And to me, it shows again that our forefathers had the insight to realize that we would change. And there's nothing you can do. It's automatic. It happens, and it's official, and it's how it happens, in spite of whatever anybody thinks it can do. It's not. It's not relevant. So I just think it's interesting. The
And it,
people.
again, the peaceful transition of power, um, the way that our Constitution is written, and the tradition, and when you realize we've only had, what, 47 presidents, um, in our whole history. 47. We, you know, it's and there's a whole scope of countries and governments around the world. When you realize, we've only had, less than 50 presidents in our whole history, but we've had peaceful transition of power. And so that, we don't have a coup taking over, or anything like that. And so we have both a popular vote and a why am I constantly not um
Electoral vote.
the electoral vote? That's the word, electoral. Um and that is such a great protection. A lot of people don't understand the electoral college and why it's so important. It really is the fairness of giving smaller states equal footing in electing. So it's really neat. And so when you hear about other countries having, you know horrible fights, although talking with listening to media, and some of it got kind of nasty with um the two parties, kind of whacking it out in the press, um excuse me, during this election. But the country, we go through this every 4 years, and the country really does then, for the most part, settle down and accept the new president and try to work with the incoming um, party that is in that has been elected. Excuse me.
I
Unfortunately,
always found it interesting that the qualifications you need for office.
yes.
For a president, the only qualifications you need is you need to be a natural born citizen.
Mm-hmm. And of a certain age, I think you have to be at least 35.
You have to be at least 35 and you have to live in the United States for 14 years prior to becoming president.
Uh-huh.
And that's, so many citizens, military members, live abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a yellow line or a gray area because you technically live in the United States because you live on a military base, but yet you're not on U.S. soil.
Right, right.
But even like the attorney general doesn't technically have to be a lawyer.
Mm, that's good. That's interesting.
And I always wondered about that's like that makes no sense. You're the highest attorney in the land, but you don't have to be an attorney.
That is, that does not, you know, it's all the little quirks about the different things, and watching the confirmation hearings, you really get an idea of personalities, and the knowledge, you know, that people, if they're going to be elected or proposed for a certain position, that they should know, um, you know, about it. I just remember watching some of the Biden nominees, and some of them were just so tripped up for answering just simple, basic questions. And I've been watching a lot of the confirmation hearings, and some of the questions that are asked are, it's almost like, oh, we don't really want to know what you know, we just want to have a gotcha moment, to see if you mess up so that I could say something bad about you. And
Mm-hmm.
and I understand how, each party, kind of vies for, getting their person in.
Well, the
But
whole
it
program of confirming a cabinet member is to show the American people what you're getting for as the management of the President of the United States, who is the leader, commander in chief. And so the cabinet people are supposed to carry out the Constitution and the law and the program and the plan of action by the president. And in recent years, there are groups of power people who manipulate both the communications, both in the media and in the bureaucratic system, to either coerce or condemn or stifle the program. But when you have been won not only the presidency, you win the House and the Senate. You have a mandate to govern, and it's minimized the compromise. So it really does give the president an opportunity to direct the country in a direction. And so we're excited with most people in America now. And I think you can walk. I was out at the store. I had to get new tires in my car yesterday. So I was at a car dealership. I was at a restaurant. There's an air of optimism and excitement that I am seeing in the community that I haven't seen in 4 years. And the reason for that is people have had a chance to be a part of changing our government and leading us into the future. And it's you can't hide it. It's everywhere you go, and I'm excited about it. We're adding on to that we have a football team that's in the process of maybe going to the Super Bowl this year. So our community is very elevated and trying to look optimistically. But and as you say, there's challenges, but they have the chance, they have the opportunity to guide the course, make a decision, follow it up with action, and accomplish it. And that's what's exciting about the
Mhm.
promise of America. And so, very
Well
excited
said.
that we have
Well said.
this happening.
Yeah, it really is, an exciting time. You know, right now, there's change is always an exciting time. It can be a nerve-wracking time too, but I think it's more exciting. And it's just really how you look at things, and looking positively that this change is going to be good. Um, and people taking ownership of doing things. I know, especially here in Buffalo, with it's crazy with the our sports team. Buffalo is a very huge sports team. Even all the years that we had losing teams constantly, um, we everyone is still very backing their home team. Um, and now that it's going so well, everyone is on board. I don't think you ever hear anybody say see you later. It's always, go Bills. It's part of the Buffalo vernacular that you don't say hello or goodbye, you just say go Bills. um and so it's a fun time right now. Win or lose, um the era of excitement and expectations, um for you know for prosperity and for things changing. The air of expectancy is really very strong right now. So that has just made just people out and about just talking. And again, and that's why I love the podcast, because it's people just sharing ideas. And yesterday was yesterday yes, yesterday, while we were on with Captain Kane, somebody from India was able just to type in meetings, and that was exciting. You know, somebody just came across our podcast and said hello, from India. So, when you realize that, you're talking to people around the world, it's just really, really great. We love to travel ourselves. And when we were in Amsterdam and in Germany, it was it was just so special, just meeting people and talking with people. And luckily, at at least in the Netherlands and in Germany, everyone we met spoke English, um, which is really quite interesting. Um, and Ron, with his high school German, was able to say hello to people in German, but then just to have conversations with people, and miles away in Europe. Just it was just so special, just to be able to talk um, talk to people from when we were in Mexico or Dominican Republic, just to be able to, converse with people that maybe live, a different lifestyle. But although it seems like people are people everywhere, and Mary, you probably have, since you've been all around the, world, during your military service, um, you know, when you meet people from other countries, you realize how similar everybody everybody is.
Oh yeah, I mean even simple things like if you can't verbally communicate, hand signals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even like that, like here in the U.S. Like different traditions and cultures, and how down south is so polite and engaging, even though Minnesota has the reputation of Minnesota nice.
Mm-hmm. But one thing too with the United States is because it's not like in Spain. It's almost everyone is from Spain, whereas in the United States we have people from every country all kind of blending in. And I think that's one of the strengths of the United States, is that we have so many traditions from different, think of our holidays, think of even just Christmas, all the different celebrations that are brought from different countries, um, and how everything kind of just blends in. My sister-in-law is from the Philippines. We have, but even if everyone in the family is just um, from the neighborhood, as it were, you have different family traditions. And it's, but with different cultures all blending in together. Um, it's really the strength, um, the strength of America, is that you have people, um, from all over the world becoming Americans. So it's not like you're in, let's see, say Turkey. Everyone is Turkish, and so you wouldn't have a whole bunch of people from um, Afghanistan necessarily going and living in Turkey. Maybe that's the wrong, or
Little
Japan.
hard analogy because a lot of them fled there. But
Right,
okay, good
right.
example would be going to Israel from
Yeah,
the Middle East and
yeah.
how a lot of
I
them
should have,
ended up camping in the Gaza Strip.
yes. And but you wouldn't have a lot of people from Japan necessarily going to Turkey, whereas here you have, um, people from all over the world making America their home and being Americans, instead of, like, my um, family background has Irish in it, but that doesn't make me stay Irish, other than on St. Patrick's Day. We're Americans. Um, and, even though we live in South Buffalo, which was traditionally very Irish on Abbott Road, the street signs are in Gaelic and English, which is really funny. Um, but it's really just a cute thing. It's not a, um
It's a remembrance of your cultural heritage.
right, right. So you can remember your cultural heritage, but at the same time you become Americans. And
Right.
that's different than any other country in the world. So that's fun.
That's where I have a little bit of an issue with a lot of these illegals because they don't want to swear in and become an actual citizen.
Right. They don't want to assimilate.
And it's not about assimilating, it's about, being something, the reason you came here. Like my family came here from Germany and Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
and I found their book that they got when they got here from 1907, that you were given to your citizenship. You were given and then it was a hardcover book and all the information of what you had to know to become the citizenship, along with their citizenship test.
Mm-hmm.
And how, it was a big thing to take that test and become an.
Yes, my sister-in-law became a U.S. citizen, and we were laughing that she probably knows more facts about, because she had to study for it than we do. I have a friend that hated to be called African American, because she said, my family's not from Africa. We're from Bermuda, not Bermuda. Oh gosh, Bahamas.
Okay.
And so it's like, she doesn't want to be pigeonholed. She said, I'm an American now. So, you have to, um, and that really is the beauty, I think, of the United States, is that we are united, and just the United States. And that's one of the things that um, was pointed out so much. The federal government each individual state has its own constitution and has its own rights and its own way of doing things. The federal government kind of oversees everything, but at the same time, each we are United States, but we are all separate states, and so um, that's really important too. And that's where the electoral college really comes in when you realize, some states are huge, some states are very small, um, and because it was like we're kind of a patchwork of different communities, um, but all come together as the United States.
The people I give a lot of credit to are the people that come here, join the military, and get their citizenship through the military. Because
Mm.
you don't get your full citizenship till you're done with your first set of services or your
Ah.
first contract. But when you're going through boot camp with everybody else, and then when everybody else is done for the day, you're going to classes to learn how to become a citizen.
Hmm.
You
Yes.
have to work 10 times harder than the rest of us just to get that privilege. A buddy of mine, that's what he did. Then he was frustrated because he came from Kenya and he
Mm-hmm.
speaks 20 different dialects of that language. So once he got here, joined the military, excelled in the military, got his, qualifications and, passed into the real military and got a citizenship, they send him back home because he could speak the dialect, and so he would be a great translator, but also a good cultural person to be able
Uh-huh.
to work with between the two, governments. He's like, I left there to come here, and now you're sending me back.
uh, but sometimes, especially in the military, you go where there's the need. So, that's my
Yeah, you don't get a choice very often.
mom's father, my grandfather, was from Italy, and he served in World War I. I think my cousin has a great portrait of Grandpa in his, World War I out, not costume, uniform, and it's just I have one of the books that he was given, um, because he was in France, and they had this little tiny hardcover book, Soldiers Spoken French, and so it's different um, words and phrases in English and French. And now he's from Italy, so maybe he didn't even need the book as much, since the Italian language might be a little closer to French than English is. But I have the book that he was given when he served in World War I, and it's just really neat, all the different um, tie-ins around the world that makes our country so great.
We like how our English language is so similar to a lot of the different languages throughout the world.
Well, we've taken so many words from other. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We've taken, so many English words or American words that we use are from different countries.
Germany, we have a lot of a lot of words in English are like a house. You know what a house is? Well, house is what a house is in Germany.
Hmm.
Same word.
My favorite for the German is the fact that the alternatives that we use for swearing, like frick, are the actual swear words in German.
Oh, gosh, that could be dangerous. So, um, yes, and it's when they in Star Wars, I remember that they used some African dialect when in that bar scene where you have all the different aliens from all over the galaxy or whatever, um, and They used this, what they thought was this obscure dialect from Africa. And so, but sometimes you don't realize that movies are shown all around the world. And so, um,
In World War II, the American Army used Navajo Indians to communicate because they nobody could translate it.
yes, yes, yeah, the code,
All the D-Day communications were done in Navajo. It's a tribute, really, as you think about it.
yeah, that's really cool. That's really so. Well, thank you, for Ron and Mary, for coming on today, and for our inaugural Saturday morning show with a with our new um Podbean platform. But it's been a wonderful time of sharing, so I appreciate that. And so we do look forward to Monday show again, noon to 1 Eastern US time. And Mary will be talking about, she talks about hometown heroes, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President um, Donald Trump, with the inauguration. So she'll be covering both that. And so anyone that's hearing this show, listen in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we'll have more shows to add. I'll be able to, in coming weeks, talk about some of the other show times and topics. But with that, I'm going to say have a wonderful Saturday.
Stay
And
warm.
yes, stay warm. Although it looks nice and clear and sunny, we had about a foot of snow over the last couple of days. But again, in Buffalo, within hours, the streets are bare, and it's pretty. I got out and shoveled the sidewalk in front of our house, and shoveled around where came home with brand new tires on our car. um, just staying safe, getting updating things as needed. So, but with that, I'll say goodbye for today, and have a wonderful day, and have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget tuning in on Podbeam on Monday for Hometown Heroes. Bye bye, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye for now.
Okay, thank you.